like applause. So. How's everybody doing?
Good.
All right, the wine is free. I made sure that they wouldn't charge you for it. I insisted they had free wine for you all.
You are an okay dude.
Thank you. I wanted to be factual tonight, and so not excellent, not amazing. I'm all right. He's right. I work at ArtServe, and I'm the creative content manager, marketing manager, co-op marketing manager, like all these titles, but all it means is that I have a bunch of clients who have marketing and media needs, and I figure out a way to make sure that their stuff gets promoted, marketed, and advertised properly. And that makes me an expert in the media landscape of South Florida. I want to be on TV, radio, print, online, digital, whatever. Whoa, why did that happen? Then I can totally do that for people. Yeah, I fixed it. So, I used to work in ad agencies. And ever since I got out of college, when I was 23, first job, ad agency. And I worked in a shop, a couple shops, ran my own shop. I've taught at Miami Ad School. I've done a lot of work that has to do with marketing and advertising. So this is the stuff I'm going to tell you. For me, it's rote. It's the same for me, marketing and exposing my brand and getting new clients to buy into my message is as rote as my paintbrushes and my pencils and my art supplies. I know exactly what to do when I pick up a pencil. I know exactly what I want to do when I want to market an event. You know, so I realize that a lot of artists need help in promoting their brands. Well, here I am to help. And so what I've done is I've prepared a case study. Some of the successes I've had at educating pop art, and I'm going to walk you through some stuff. And if you have any questions, raise your hand, ask me, stop me at any point. But I want to show you what I did, and if it's helpful to you, that would be fantastic. And at any time, if you need to stop and have wine, feel free. Don't ask me for permission. Just go to the wine lady. She will give you as much wine as you want. Okay? I want to see some people with double fisting it with 2 wines. April. So this is actually building your brand identity or being your own ad agency, which is how I treated myself. I treated myself as my own client in my own ad agency. And so this is me. This is my brand. Miami Super Awesome Neo Pop Artist. I didn't ask for permission to be super awesome. I grabbed that bandwidth and I claimed that, and then I put that out there thousands of times over emails and different communication or on my cards, whatever. I just said it, and then people got it. Now I became Miami Super Awesome Neo Pop Artist. So for a lot of artists out there, this is how it's going with marketing, right? This is your marketing situation, right? Like there's so much going on, but you're just falling apart, but you know, keeping a calm face. But really, what is it to brand is the situation. What does that even mean? What is branding? Does anyone know what branding is? What's that? What is it?
Branding is like, you're going to identify a product, give them the look, the feel, the message, what you're going to present to the outside world.
Yes and no. That's more marketing than branding. Branding is about your values. What do you stand for? Who are you? What's your message? What's the tone? Like your attitude, like a person, right? Like who are you, and what do you project? Branding is more about values than marketing, and not only who you are, but like who's in your group, like what's the crowd you hang out with, right? So if you're philanthropic, you might hang out with charities. If you're more of a business person, you might hang out with Goldman Sachs, right? Like what's your style? Branding, in my opinion, is hard because most people on Earth are involved in doing other things. Like this guy, he's involved with this tiger. He doesn't care about my art in this moment. He's got a tiger in front of him. That's all he cares about. So you have to come to the conclusion, you just have to accept that most people on earth will never ever hear about your product. You have to just accept it. You're gonna live your whole life, and most of 7 billion people, most of them are busy doing other things. They're not involved in your message. They don't even speak your language, most of these people on earth. And then people who get, let's say, then you reach the people who actually can speak your language. They're maybe in your field somewhere. They're reachable by you. But even if you could reach them, they're like, I don't want it. Right? They're either too busy to listen or they just don't care. And then the few people who care, capturing their attention makes the method of capturing them very valuable. And Josh can attest to the amount of money we spend marketing the Frank Gallery. Millions of dollars, mostly in my pockets, right? No, but that's what makes the method of marketing so valuable. That's why TV and radio and email blasts, Sun Sentinel, all this stuff costs so much money, because once you get down to that target, they're like, well, we're going to charge you to get those people, right? So for me, messaging is everything. Everything is about communication, just like your art. Your art sends a message. Your art tells a story. Your art is about something. So is your marketing and your branding. The tagline, the tweet, the little blurb, the 30-second speech that you give in the elevator, right? If you're doing radio, if you're getting editorial, it's all about framing a message. Or you could say it another way, it's about honing a narrative about what you stand for, what your values are, why is this particular exhibition different and important? Why is it valuable? Why should I give up my Saturday night to come here, right? Messaging is everything. Everything is about the words that you choose. So when I started, my goal was to get that tiger guy to buy my art, right? I was thinking like really broad, like I want all the kids in Malaysia to wear my t-shirts, right? You ever hear that story of like, there was this guy and he was hiking through the mountains and he found these monks, and then he saw some kid and that kid had a Michael Jordan shirt on. How did that kid get a Michael Jordan shirt, right? I mean, that's an amazing story, right? How did that shirt get to this kid? For me, it's like I wanted everybody on earth to buy my work when I started, which, not completely realistic, but I started in the very beginning. I was Kaleidoscope Conspiracy, uncommon artwork for extraordinary people, and I started honing my very first narrative about my work.
Well, my name is Ed King. I'm a neo-pop artist. The name of my artwork is Kaleidoscope Conspiracy, uncommon artwork for extraordinary people.
So, going back to that just real quick, that whole intro is all about creating a mood. Obviously, my artwork is pop art, neo-pop art. It's vibrant, it's fun, it's supposed to appeal to the inner child inside of you, right? And it's supposed to be lighthearted, right? But there's something uniquely human about the work, like the guy's breathing. There's a thing that connects with people, no matter where I've traveled, no matter where people have touched my work, and that little narrative seemed to have worked for me, right? And I tried to key into that, mixing things that are uniquely human and things that are vibrant, fun, and beautiful to look at. Here's one thing that I did with Kaleidoscope Conspiracy. I came up with a series called Theatra Mundi, which means theater of the world in Latin. A sublime exploration in the pursuit of science, nature, and the soul of humanity, right? It was a big exhibition. I had this gallery exhibition with a release of a bunch of new paintings. And while my work is fun and lighthearted and vibrant, the branding of the show is actually pretty deep, right? So I let people understand that there could be an element of humanism, intellectualism associated with something that's even fun and cartoony looking. And so I wouldn't just have a show, I'd hand out books. I'd make books of my work and have a long form conversation with my audience and say, here's a piece, and there's a bunch of elements going on in the piece, and what does it represent? Who are we as human beings? Why do we exist? And I take these people down a path that goes far beyond what they see in just a painting, right? It's a thesis, it's a narrative. That moment where somebody buys into this, that is the moment I can swipe a credit card. Because they're buying an idea, not a painting. They're buying a concept. They're buying something in which when somebody walks through their door and sees this in their house, they can go, oh, well, but let me tell you, because there's a whole story. Well, that has nothing to do with the painting. It has everything to do with the story. It's not the painting. It's the narrative. It's the thesis. It's the reason, not the product. Yes, sir?
No, I was going to ask, because you were talking about having this big show or series of shows, but did your previous marketing, is that what led to you getting these shows like this?
You should wait a few minutes. You're a little bit ahead of me. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. This was the beginning. This was the beginning. So, oh, let me go back because this is important. It was story-oriented, lots of insights, and attracted to high-end buyers. So if I had a piece that was like 60 by 70 inches, or 50, or this one 40 by 50 inches, right? High dollar figure for a piece that size, right? Original piece, 40 by 50 inches, that has a real meaning to it. Somebody's going to pay for that. So I had this, this whole thesis. Where are we going as a society? How do we quantify love and friendship? Why do we see the world differently, right? I don't expect you guys to read this. I'm just saying that there was a reason for the piece to be created, and there's a reason why people would invest in that piece, the narrative.
Home is an idea. Home is defined by nature and the environment. It is our private residence as well as the legacy left to our children. It is our partnerships, relationships, and our community. In today's world, the concept of Mother Nature is rapidly fading. The advent of the Industrial Revolution gave rise to many technological advances in agriculture, warfare, commerce, and the urban sprawl. Over time, this conquering mentality has become embedded in the cultural psyche of civilizations worldwide. In regards to women's rights, this aggressive condition has become a staple of family relations and institutionalized in the fabric of society. The progress of women's equality has therefore progressed in the smallest of steps. Einstein stated, "We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them." It is my personal belief that it is not enough for us to merely conceive a solution. The moral imperative of our generation is to set in motion a revision of our most fundamental priorities in order to achieve a more prosperous and sustainable future. The painting Mother of Nature is about the opportunity for change. Inspired by the concept of ecofeminism, I have endeavored to create a new premise for a body of artwork entitled Return of Forever.
So, as this concept caught on, creating large works, I think this particular piece is 60 or 70 inches per, per line. Creating large works that are multifaceted, that have a deep meaning to them, led to me giving speeches. I think this particular video, this is long form video, was made for Peace Village up in the Catskills, where people fly in for this conference, and there's people from all over the world. They want me to present this to the people who attend these various conferences. And then there's not just the presentations, but making sure that it's known in the press. So, New Times, I make an offering to the art gods. On the other show, Miami Herald, they have all the listings of the stuff, but my thing is the thing to do that weekend. Then Emit Magazine, widespread acclaim for a series of art which combine formal statements, striking in their clarity, childlike humanism. What did we talk about before, right? Human elements. It could be childlike, but it has deep meaning. I've trained an entire group of people, including the media, to take my message and put it into their words by repeating a thing again and again and again and again. It's not fake. This is what I do. But I'm not shy about it. I'm not shy about it. I make sure everybody knows that if they're going to write a thing about me, I've trained them what to say. So, the messaging positives. I have a unique company name, Kaleidoscope Conspiracy. I establish myself as an expert, right? I make videos, I make books, I write a thesis about my work. I establish myself as the expert in what I'm talking about. I have a multicultural appeal. Black, white, Hispanic, Indian, Polish, whatever, everybody gets the human elements I'm talking about in my work. So there's a wide demographic appeal. Man, women, young people, old people, everybody buys my stuff. Commands a high investment because I'm working on big pieces, so I can sell them for a high dollar figure. Stands out to the media, of course. No one's doing work like this. No one's doing it, right? I picked a thing that looks unique, sounds unique, they're gonna write about it. And the ideas are, frankly, catnip for the press. They see a thing that's like, oh, he's talking about ecofeminism. When's the last time somebody did a series on that article? You gotta make it easy for other people to want to talk about you, right? This is what did it. So what are the negatives? The amount of adults I found that cannot spell kaleidoscope, it would knock your socks off. Kaleidoscope Conspiracy, seriously, led to me killing the name. The amount of people who just couldn't trying to email you, man, can't do it. It's ridiculous. Having such expensive pieces alienates the low-end consumer base. And there's more people who can spend $500 on Earth than can spend $50,000. Speaks down to a portion of the marketplace. If you're smarter than your audience, they might be turned off, right? I mean, I'm talking about ecofeminism. It doesn't appeal to West Virginia coal miners, bottom line. Difficult to be pithy and concise in multiple media. I can't do ecofeminism in Twitter. Can't do it. All that text and all that stuff doesn't work. It's got to be tiny. So that it makes it difficult. It's not impossible. It's just difficult. So, I believe this firmly. You've got to figure out a solution to the problems. You've got to identify your negatives, accept them, turn it into a positive, move on. So that's what this is about, right? So, I evaluated my situation and changed the name of my whole company, changed how I did business, and I became in an instant Ed King pop art. I said, no more screwing around with Kaleidoscope Conspiracy, it's too difficult. This is my name and what I do. Ed King pop art. Done. Simple, everybody can remember it, right? And I came up with another tag. Instead of Kaleidoscope Conspiracy and, you know, the fantastic work, da 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 da, art that's fantastically funtellectual. I created my own language, and it's a thing that's stuck in the minds of my consumers. They loved it. And when I introduced this, it became a thing. It was in all of it was on my cards, my brochures, and all this stuff. And people, when they heard it, right? Hey, my name is Ed King from Ed King Pop Art. Art that's fantastically funtellectual. You'd hear people actually go, ooh, or they do that thing, right? You know, I feel like creating your own language, your own way of becoming part of the lexicon of others helps people remember you versus all the other people that are out there, right? Hey, my name is Joe, and create oil paintings. Hi, my name is Ed. Art that's fantastically funtellectual. It's like, you know, you're going to remember. You might not like my work, but you're going to remember me. It's the guy with the cartoon art, right? Engaging in a brand overhaul, which is what I did, means accepting one reality. Everyone has a brand. I have a brand. I'm the loud talking guy, right? I get it. I know. I'm the loud talking guy, and you know, I'm a marketing guy. And like, I have this thing. I have a brand, right? All of you have a brand, right? You have a way you walk, a way you drive, a way you talk, the way you have an argument is your brand. That's who you are. It's just that we all have private lives, so we don't go around going, that's the guy who argues badly. But somebody's thinking that, who you've argued with. You've got a brand with people. So you have to accept it and then turn it into positives. What's your brand actually saying about you? Like when people look at my art, they say, oh, it's cute, and it's weird, like why is there an elephant in a snow globe, and why does he, sorry I touched your screen, and why does it say Sirens of Elysium? It's like, you know, these weird titles and stuff, right? So is your brand corporate? Are you serious? Are you playful? That would be me. Are you authentic? I think I am. Organic, family friendly, that's me. Warm and fuzzy. What's your brand? What's your attributes of your art? So messaging is also not just about the narrative, it's also about the visual. Ads aren't books. They're meant to have pictures, right? You're meant to see and feel and have an experience when you're advertising, when you're marketing. Your job isn't to be happy with what you do. It's to make a third party, some other person who you've never met, your job is to engage that person. That means divorcing yourself from this is what I want, this is what I like, this is what I need. Because when you want to sell your work, and when I say sell, I don't mean just money. I'm talking about getting Josh to say, I want this guy in an exhibition, right? Or getting somebody to say, you know, we should have them come do a public speaking with us. Or if it's a corporate sale, we want 500 orders of these, right? It's about getting other people involved in what it is you're doing. So I started advertising my work in a way that was engaging and eye-catching, simple, elegant, eye-catching. A couple pieces, something memorable, again, playing with the language, Scullerfly, right? We all know what butterflies are, we all know what skulls are, well, Scullerfly. Done, memorable. I can't tell you from Cleveland, Wisconsin, Miami, Jersey, New York, whatever, Montauk, how many of these I sold, right? Tons. And I would send out an email blast, and the header, just the top header, was the Scullerfly collection, and then there would be some text, right? They'd see it, they're on my website, they're buying it. It's a gift, it's the thing, it's part of their collection. Simple, easy, elegant. For the people who are into yoga, they're into Eastern philosophy, they're into getting in touch with their chakras. They want a Hamza on their wall. They want something that touches their value system. simple and easy marketing. It's just a photo, a logo, and 2 words. That's all it is. And I can't tell you how many of these I sold. Tons. Tons.
And were you selling those from your website? Or were they from shows? Or?
So a variety. So some in shows. And if I'm at a show, let me go back. If I'm at a show, maybe an art festival, Coconut Grove Art Fest, and somebody says, we're thinking about this piece, I would go, well, I'll go throw in 2 of these if you take that. Sold. And so sometimes I would use these 6x8s as just to grease the wheels, just as a bonus, right? But if somebody said, hey, I just want to take 6 of these, you just want to hang them up in the house, right? I'd figure out a price. But most of my sales when it came to stuff like this would be online on my website at kingpopart.com, which no longer exists, so don't go there. We were here. So again, a little touch of my signature, right? Introducing 55 new ways to smile. I didn't even show hardly any of the work. But I delivered a message that there's 55 new paintings. And by the time I've hit them with marketing, by the time they get this message that there's 55, they're on my site, they're shopping. Guaranteed. Because I've trained my audience to know that if they're getting an email from me, if they're getting a message, there's something to look at. In 55 things, there's probably something for each of them.
And probably some people wanted to have the whole 55 collection.
We're getting there. You'll see. You will see. Watch. So the karma and the om as one item on the 300-year-old antique French paper, authentic, the real deal, not a copy, not a photocopy or any of that stuff, hand painted. It's authentic, it's real, it's human. Somebody wrote this 300 years ago. Somebody did this, right? There's a human element here, but also the artwork, also hand done. It's authentic, it's real, it's hand painted, it's an original. This is worth money to people. They recognize the value. And it's there's a human connection here that you can't get with just normal pop art. If I did this with just a plain yellow background like pop art, it would be valueless. It would mean nothing. So, here's another example of a piece of art coming up with a title. So this is called Dreaming of a Memory. I identify the size and what it is, acrylic on canvas, and I take them on a journey of what I might have been thinking or what this piece means. And in 3 stanzas and a logo, I got people interested. Whether they buy it or not isn't the issue. It's whether I'm training them to understand how I communicate. We all understand how Apple communicates. We all understand how Hyundai communicates because we get their ads all the time, so we're used to it. In the world of art, there's very few artists who are training their audience to understand them. They're just hoping for the best. I don't hope for the best. I'm a planner. So I like to train what I call my sales force. So I want to talk about an actual exhibition case study. This one's called Sirens of Elysium. So a gallery wanted to work with me to produce an art show. And we figured out the logistics, the date and the time, and what it would mean to do this show. And I instantly on my website started, this is what it looked like once the pieces were up. And hey, just like now. Once the pieces were up and we had the exhibition, I had my photographer take some shots, and I posted one of the shots. So if people didn't make it to the exhibition, they could still see, every 5 seconds a new shot would come up, and it would be shots from the show. But I started with the thing that I said up front, creating my own language. Sirens of Elysium. Elysium's not really a common word in the English language. It's not even English. It's Greek heaven. So Sirens of Elysium, mermaids that are heavenly, or going to heaven, or in heaven, or something like that. And it's a little, text with a little bit of sketches of these old keys. And then after doing some initial marketing that was very just text-oriented, like teasers, after a while that I was giving these teasers, like, look what's coming soon. And you notice Hollywood does this now. They have teasers for the teasers. They'll have like a 30-second teaser for the 2-minute trailer that advertises the 2-hour movie, right? Well, that's what I was doing. I had this teaser, people were like, what is this about? And then I came out with the actual look for the show, which is mermaids doing weird things. Like there's octopus whose tentacle goes into her umbilical, and there's a, elephant in a snow globe, and baby harp seals when she's praying, and these clocks have times that have significance to them. An exploration of faith and fertility. Simple, easy. What is that about? Why? Right? Then a few more marketing pieces that show the depth of the work. Again, involved, it's weird, there's phrases from multiple cultures. Why is there a 5 on the baby's hand, and what's her umbilical have to do with this? Why is she holding an ankh? My collectors ask these questions. They want to know what's going on upstairs, right? They know a narrative is coming, because I've already demonstrated that my history is, if that's the visual for the show, this guy's got a story. So, a few more marketing, bless you. A few more marketing pieces. Sirens of Elysium, A New Vision by Ed King Poppard. Again, another different sized email blast that went out to my audience. But then I started, once we got into with a certain window of the show, I started to take them behind the scenes and brand each image with, hey, there's my sketch, there's me working on a piece, and there's the logo for the show. I have a logo, Ed King Pop Art, but the show of itself has a logo. It has a look, it has a feel. And there I am painting. There's my logo for the show. You understand what's happening here? I'm building this show as a self-contained piece of information. It's got the narrative, it's got the logo, it's got the images, everything. It's self-contained. And it's produced by Ed King Pop Art, but it's its own entity. There's another one, close-up of a piece, part of the painting. Again, because of the look and the feel, because of the narrative, because of the press release, the work I do, making sure that the images are seen, it gets picked up by the press. And full page calendar, this is what to do this week. I love this. What to do in Miami this week, right? Capturing that is not about that moment, right? This is a great moment, right? Because I get to pose, and I get to take a selfie with the photo, and I get to say, look what I did. Fine. What this is a long-term bragging rights in which people could say, why are you relevant? And I can say, let's take a look, let's go down memory lane with all my press clippings. This is why I'm relevant. You want to have a book full of your stuff that legitimizes your presence in this community, right? You can talk about yourself all you want, but when third parties are talking about you, that's legit. More, now this is more of a listing than press, but I take what I can get. If somebody's got my name and my picture in the paper, I'm letting people know that it exists. I'll take this out, I'll scan it, and I'll throw that out on an email blast saying, look what Art District's art guide said, look what Cultural said, right? Look what Miami Herald said. Another one, and they're using my language in here, faith, fertility, fidelity, in the deep ocean world of mermaids. I mean, they're taking my press release and putting it out there. Sunpost again with the listing. And Photoshop trickery. So when I actually put this in an email blast, I take the cover and their masthead and the listing all together in Photoshop, and then boom, it's one image. So that in one shot, I can train and I can inform the people who are interested in my work without having to show them in pieces. It's just in one shot. That's Photoshop work. So a lot of times on my website, we would also have these, we would do pre-parties and stuff, and I would have a videographer there, and we would throw out these videos, which are like, just, you know, this is what the art looks like, this is the artist interacting with people, da da da. Here's the date and time for the exhibition. So I like to be in control of my media. Obviously, I'm in control of my messaging, but the media is also important. So, I love this. Surround yourself with the dreamers and the doers. The believers and the fakers, but most of all, surround yourself with those who see greatness within you, even when you don't see it in yourself. There is something to be said about having a community of supporters who believe in your messaging and believe in what you do and what you're creating. As my shows grew, so did this circle of people who saw what I was doing, they understood what I was doing, and opened doors that led to successes. How dare you? So that takes us to the next section, which is, any questions so far? Nothing? All right. So this takes us to the next section, because this matters. Surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, because those people end up not buying a piece or 3 pieces. They're the ones who become the super fans, and they buy 19, 25, 30 pieces. They're the ones who support you over a long period of time. I like the idea, and I've said this from the beginning, I like the idea that my brand is about a human element. It's about people. And I try to convey that as much as possible, even in my branding. So even creating an image like this, which is separate photos that I Photoshop together, and it just looks nice, but in one shot, what do you see? Anybody, just tell me, what do you see here?
Smiles. Smiles.
Smiles. They're happy with the work. They're holding it. They're proud of it. They're not holding it like this, right? They're like almost hugging their work. Again, now these are, I think this is Coconut Grove Art Festival. Smiles, 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 plus Hispanic, Black, family, right? Boom. All these smiles and everything that you can imagine. White, Hispanic, I don't know what he is. That's a lady. You know, there's a family. She's awesome, right? But these are people who, they don't just like it. They love the work. They love it. They love it to the point where it becomes part of them. Ed, can you know, we love your work, we've been following your work, we're having a fundraiser, so can you create a poster? My daughter has cancer, she loves giraffes and penguins, and this is the last time she's ever going to have anything. Right? Can you do it? 100%, absolutely, no charge, it's going to happen. We're doing this. They do their event, they do their fundraiser, they raise money for cancer, all that stuff, she dies. And then he's like, I want you to know that I'm going to live with this piece of art, which is a representation of my baby, for the rest of my life on my body. My artwork is about people. I'm not here for money. I love making money, I love it. I love making money. This connection is why I can make money. It's because people see beyond cartoons. They see beyond the art. It becomes a part of them. It becomes a part of their family for the rest of their lives. Not just the dad. The whole family is invested in my product for the rest of their lives. How do you make that connection? They had to have felt that before they even picked up the phone. Before they made the ask, what did they think of my work and what did they think of me? It's all narrative. They got to a point where they were comfortable enough to make this ask. Knowing your demographics, knowing what message you're putting out there to what people is everything. What about these people? That's a lot of original artwork. There's one G clay in this, right here. That's a G clay. I know that because I know who I sold the original to. Everything else is an original. What are we looking at? Maybe 20-something pieces? I can tell you, after this photo, they've already reached over 30. This is not just about an obsession. They've bought into some of the biggest pieces that I've ever made, right? There's a thesis here, there's a thesis here, there's a thesis here. They're in the message. Obviously, they're in it for the fun too. There's some fun pieces in there. But they've just bought into this whole concept. These people, they don't have a huge collection. They just buy a few huge pieces. So instead of 30 mediums, what if they took 6 ginormous pieces? Still a great payday. But now these people are living, like, can you imagine having enough money to take your dog and then have me paint your dog this big? That is crazy.
Is that a dog?
That's a doggy. Look at the little doggy.
It's like a monkey to me.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is it was their dog to them. It doesn't matter. They're happy.
Look at the smile.
So the bottom line is, they're happy, right? And they're living with this work. Obviously, they started, the first time they ever bought a piece from me, it was this big, 36 by 6, right? And they ended up with 6 of these in their house.
Boy.
So, the most important asset of your company is human. Yourself, your buyers, your employees, your relationships. Everything is about relationships. And I'm sure somebody's uttered these words before I did. You must have heard this before. Human capital is everything.
Every time I see it, there's a piece that speaks to me that absolutely is mine. I mean, for me, for each of us, it seems to be that way. And then when we have them home, they stay that way, don't they? I mean, we share them, we all love them, but it's sort of, I don't know, just, it's like the piece chooses me. That's how I feel.
She never let him talk.
That's a question.
Talks right over.
I'm not gonna touch that. I'm not gonna touch that. All I'm gonna say is, she invested in how she felt about the piece, not the piece, right? She said the piece chooses her. She invested in her own concept of the transaction. It's 100% about how she feels, and that's all I care about. How does she feel about the work?
I love the website.
Because, you know, when you're traveling, you want to see one of your pieces, you're going to look at the website.
That's awesome.
And you start getting like when you quit smoking or quit drinking or something, and you crave that feeling, you leave and you crave the feeling of seeing your pictures against the website.
So you're addicted.
That sounds bad, yeah.
She can only go so much time before she has to interact again. You know what I mean? That's profound. People who, they can't have one piece. They just can't. They can't stop at one. So the other day somebody asked me what my goals were I told them I want to be happy. Really, 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 really effing happy. Happiness to me isn't just the payday. It's the connection. It's the people. Sorry? I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry.
It's fine, go to the next slide.
Okay.
Perfect.
So, how does this all converge? The conversation and the buyers and the media, this is all part of the brand. This relationship through all of these things, all are part of the brand that you establish. So, this is the fact. In everything you do, someone's always watching. Always. Always, 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 always. I've had people who bought a painting, they're like, I've been watching you for a year, I've got all your email blasts, I've checked out all your Facebook posts, today's my day. What have I been doing for a year, right? But they've been there. So, I don't know why it says established. Establish affirmative a brand message. Right? Affirmative brand message. My art's about joy, happiness. It's about human connection. It's about making people feel good when they walk in a room. That's what I'm about. And hence, that's what will be written about me. I've established an affirmative brand message, and everybody latches on to the tune of an American Express swipe, to the tune of editorial, to the tune of speaking opportunities. You name it, I get paid in happiness. Right there. Oh, I love this. Look, in the word of Ed King, happiness is popular again. Fantastic. Established, oh, this is past tense. Establish a philanthropic profile. I don't just take. I work with Kids for Autism. I'm on the board of Family Resource Center of South Florida. That's adoption foster care. I work at Holtz Children's Hospital with the kids who the last thing they want to do in life is have a little bit of fun, we paint together, and then they pass on. And one of the last things they did was make paintings with me. You have to give back. Establish expert status. I'm on a list, or I was, of one of the most creative minds in South Florida. At least at one point. And I didn't waste a second putting that in an email blast. Because it's not just the buyers, it's the partnerships, it's the companies, it's the people who say we want to put in an order for a corporate conference, it's whatever, whoever's watching, and I said somebody's always watching, and they might watch, let me go back, they might see that, let me go back, they might see that, somebody's always watching this stuff, somebody sees that, and it's going to lead to more successes. So, all great challenges are preceded by chaos. I believe that. In the beginning, my thing was chaos, right? And I was doing all this stuff, whatever, and I honed down a style and a message that I repeated again and again and again and again. So I'm going to do one more festival branding study, and then we're going to get into something else. This is important. Coconut Grove established a brand. So what I did in all of my communication, I'm going to be part of the show, I paired my art with that brand. Again and again and again. And again. And again. And again. And again. They started using, the organization caught on to what I was doing 2 years. I did it for 2 years. And then they said, it's already happening, so we're just going to do it officially. So officially, they started using my art with their brand, right? What did I say in the beginning? I didn't wait for permission. I grabbed that space and claimed it for my own. And then these guys said, okay, he's already doing it. Let's just keep doing it. And so their ad agency added my work to their marketing.
Did
and
you
now,
ask their permission to use their?
of course, this was all coordinated.
Did they know that you were in the show already?
I'm sorry?
Because that's a jury show. Did they know that you were?
Oh,
authentic?
yeah, they wouldn't have
Oh, okay.
done that. I mean, can we use your art, but you're not in? Like, no way. Now, yeah, this was fantastic. When I got the call, they said, "Hey, we saw what you're doing. Now we want to make it official." That was fantastic because it legitimized everything I'm talking about right now, right? They saw it. They saw that it worked. They said, you know, I'm obviously a staple of the show. I've been in the show for like I think 12, 13 straight years. Billboard, that's fantastic, right? So we've got what? Print ad, billboard, television.
At the Coconut Grove Arts Festival, I love going bungee jumping and eating cotton candy. And the art is cool too. Art is a cool way to express yourself.
All right, so 3 out of 5 slides, my art. That's fantastic if it's playing on TV, right? So the following year after that, I started doing the same thing. They established a purple look. I don't know why they went with purple, but they did. So then I adopted it, purple, with my art. And I had, at this particular moment in time, that's when I started to divorce myself from the art world. I took this marketing job, right? I said, I'll go back and I'll do another couple shows. So Ed King is back with new pieces, right? And those sales, when I put that out there, right back up. And I went right back to my roots, weird, multicultural, iconic work that I'm known for. Went right back to my roots and unveiled pieces that were stunning and had thesis to them. And look at that. This is just a portion of my buyers. These are just the people I took pictures of, right? The fact that I could stop doing art, take a marketing job, come back, and boom, have a grand slam at one of these festivals. Fantastic. So obviously I sent out a big thank you by email blast, just letting people know that I really appreciate them supporting, saying that you are Ed King Pop Art. It's not about me, it's about them. So this is important. So the people at Coconut Grove Art Festival actually wrote me. I told them, hey, I gave some other talk, right? I said, I'm giving this talk, I'm going to show some slides from Coconut Grove Art Fest. She goes, make sure you mention the importance of communication. We chose your art because it was bright and lively, because we loved working with you. In a world of billions of creative people, your art design needs to be unique, but so do you as a person. You must stand out. People need to want to buy your art because they like you just as much as they like your art. They just like working with me, right? That's why at the beginning, I'm an okay dude. Just be cool. Work with people, respect their brand, show them an affirmative, positive, engaging branding message that appeals to a wide body of people, and they will dive in, right? They make it easy for them to say yes. It's actually very easy to achieve that. So, let's go back. I'm gonna breeze through this one because I want to get to some contract stuff. Transcendent Prerogative, an exhibition case study, is completely different. We came out with a media advisory. This is usually how I write my press releases in the first place. Every single show has a narrative, has a title, has a narrative, the who, what, when, where, why, right? And website. So this was at the African Heritage Cultural Arts Center. A fantastic group of people to work with. More narrative. And then I came up with just a simple look, very easy, clean. It's full of all this stuff that they made me put at the bottom. That's what when you work with a municipal building, you have to, you know that. There's always like logos everywhere. But this became the look of the show. Blossoming Hearts, and again, a weird title, right? The Transcendent Prerogative. What does that even mean, right? But this blossoming heart became the thesis, the visual for the show. And it was going to be my largest release of work ever. So it's like, I think over 50, 160 pieces in one shot, in one gallery. And so I kept saying, you know, new work by Ed King, then showing a lot of blossoms, more blossoms, dates, everything had blossoms in it, right? So it's just all about connection to nature. So the simplicity of our human collective, spiritual vessels, right? And then shots, again, behind the scenes shots of me working. So you can see that there was a cohesiveness to everything I've done in the past. So Facebook, Transcendent Prerogative. Facebook again, save the date for this incredible unveiling. More behind the scenes photos on Facebook, or in a link to Constant Contact. So I would take people behind the scenes in social media. And then I started, let me just finish this one thing. I started showing them actual videos of the work. It became more than just visuals on social media. It became this engaging thing where it was hard for people to turn it off once they started seeing this stuff grow. You can't watch this and read it at the same time. It's designed so that you have to replay it. You have to, if you want to know what the text said, you have to go back. If you want to watch that thing blossom again, you have to go back. You can't do both. Your brain just won't let you watch both elements. Yes.
So real quick, I see that you're talking a lot about narrative, right?
Yes.
What's your process for building a narrative? Because like I'm not a writer. So,
Nor
I
am I.
always say, hey, I do logos. That's what I want to do. So
Right.
what is your process to build these narratives?
Okay, so show of hands, how many people in here are writers? Get out of here. 1, 2, 3, okay, all right. I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. And what I do is, and I think this is, I don't know if this is cool or not, but I'll go on and I'll find, like if I want to write a press release, I'll find 20 different press releases and I'll go, ooh, I like this, or I like this, I like this style. And I'll add those elements and I'll look at them and I'll go, but how does this work for me, right? I don't try to be a writer. I look at what writers have done successfully. I don't even know if those people who wrote a press release were writers either.
Right.
If I'm interested in having a short form conversation, very few words, right? Then I would go to like Apple. And I would look at the last 5 years of Apple, the computers, Apple communication, because they're super pithy in their communication, always. And they know how to play on words and play on phrases. So I would look at Apple's marketing campaigns and go, that's interesting, I like that. How does it work for me? The best thing you could do for becoming an instant expert in marketing is subscribe to Communication Arts. Go there and see all the award winners through interactive design, digital, print. They have typography and photography awards, but as it relates to marketing and advertising, right? And you just go through there and you go, oh, I like this page, put it on your wall. I like this page, put it on your wall. And when you're ready to start marketing yourself, I'm gonna steal that, and that, right? And I'm gonna change the way it works for my own company, and no one's ever gonna know that I was inspired by this, or I took something from Apple, or I took something from Hyundai, or whatever, right? Don't reinvent the wheel. There's already examples of successful, that's why I said Communication Arts, because those are the award winners that are in that book. Just look at what the award winners did. Find out the mechanics of what they did, right? Oh, they used this word, this kind of cadence, right? It flows in this way, and apply it to what it is that you're trying to say. So you can become an instant expert. You don't have to go to a writing course, right? I was in a film once, and I asked the director, should I go to film school? Because I really like filmmaking. Should I go to film school? He goes, save your money, just go make a film, right? And by the time I made my first film, I was like, I was an expert. I knew the angles, I knew the cameras I wanted to work with, I knew the kind of people that I did and didn't want to work with, and I could make my own movie, you know what I mean? 10 minutes. All right, let's do this. I'm gonna show you a couple more things. Hold on. Keep going, keep going. All right, I want to get through this because if I have 10 minutes, I want to get to the corporate jobs. So, I get an email that says, great speaking with you. They called me. We're excited to consider your work. So we need, for a corporate convention, 475 G-clays. Everybody know what a G-clay is? Canvas reproduction of my artwork. It's a print that's made on canvas, stretched, ready to hang. So it needs to be $25 to $30. That's expensive. And maybe 9 by 11, signed by the artist. Can do. Totally can do this. So
Is 475 of the same print?
yes. Yeah, they just, they want to say it's like IBM, and they said, hey, let's take a conference in Miami, and when they're here for a week, and when they go home, they say, here's a little gift, thanks for coming to the conference, and they stuff it in their bag, and they go back to Des Moines, right? So I create, on the fly, the corporate gift guide. They don't know that I don't have one. They don't even know I'm not in business. I'm sitting in my marketing job, I get a phone call, right? But I want this job. So I whip up a corporate gift guide. And I make it look professional. And I say, look, unparalleled in quality and durability, Ed King Pop Art stretch canvas prints are as close to the original artwork that one can achieve, right? I give them a narrative. This is what they want to hear, that it's the highest quality and is signed by the artist. It's what they said. I took it right from their email, right? Wood stretchers, right? And I've got a photo, because I've done G-clays before, so I've already got a photo sitting somewhere in my hard drive. Pop that photo in. Order details, 8 by 10 stretch canvas, 475 unit cost. I lower it from their max a little bit, $13,300. Actual cost, $9K. I'm gonna make a pretty penny on this. So, stretch canvas, gloss finish, ready to hang, right? If they don't wanna read all this, they can just look at the image, see that, done deal. Then I show them, well, maybe they don't want canvas. Let's throw in a matted print option. It's a lower price. The unit price goes down to 25, it's 11K. Or it's 11A, right? Have you noticed something about this?
Your profit goes up.
Forget the profit. It's easy to read, it's clean, it's professional. This looks like a company is ready to move on this. Not like some schlock artist, right? Sitting around, maybe I'll do this job or not. This looks like they contacted a real company who has professionals ready to move, right? Whether they take the job or not, I'm still proud of this. And that's the point. Putting not just a great narrative, but putting something that's easy to consume in their hands. It's easy to digest. Big visual with spelled out text. They just need to look right down here and they got it, done deal, right? And they said, oh, well, we want something that's Miami Beachy. So I take one of my prints, and I throw Miami Beach on top of it, and I go, hey, order this. Take it. Everybody in Des Moines, Iowa is going to love this, right? And I call it Miami Waves, Miami Sunset, Latin Jazz, whatever. Whatever they want to think about it. And then contact information, payment terms, 50% due upon project approval, all credit cards accepted, property rights remains the intellectual property of Ed King. Artwork is for gifting and display only, no resale permitted, right? I didn't make this up. I found it on a website. I liked, because I was like, property rights, click, Google, copy and paste, put my information in there, done. Why am I reinventing the wheel? Just do what already exists, make it real, but you never knew that, right? You're like, this guy did all this. I just put it together, right? But after years and years of doing this, you know how to just grab a little thing here, put it together, and it looks like your thing, and no one will ever question it unless they come to this Frank Gallery exhibition talk, and they figure out, you got me on tape, you're gonna put this out there. That guy's a fake! Right, Miami Night. So, first of all, here's the thing. Let's say they take one of these, right? I called the guy. He goes, oh, they're still making a decision. It's between you and another artist. I might get the job, I might not. What's the most important part of the conversation? Whether I get the job or not, I want you to know I'm always available to deliver this for your company at any time. He goes, that's fantastic because we have a lot of ideas. It's not about the job you're doing. It's always about the relationship. Do these guys trust me? And all those people who are, all those paintings that I sold, it's trust. It's the relationship. It's not the sale. Every time. Every time. So, this is blown up, that small print, very important. I mean, this is just a couple lines of text that will determine the difference between a deal being cool and a deal being very not cool. And if somebody says, oh, we got your stuff, turns out the conference was canceled, so we're going to sell them on our website. No. Not for resale. That's a whole, that resale thing is a whole different contract negotiation. Our agreement is for gifting. You get what I'm saying? And you just make sure that people aren't misusing your product. So really quickly, because I know I'm running out of time, I want to go through a couple tools of the trade so that you can learn to produce effective content, or you can pay gobs of money for somebody like me to get it done, right? And people pay me to do all this stuff. It's a ton of money. It's good if you can do it yourself. It's actually a lot better. It's a lot cheaper. Essential Pro Tools, the number one thing. Number one, if you're an artist, you should know Photoshop. You should be in control of your images. Number one. That comes before Microsoft Word, before any Microsoft, no Excel or anything else, Photoshop, if you're an artist. Because your images are everything. And frankly, everything that you saw tonight, I could have done all of this in Photoshop. 100% of this entire presentation could have been in Photoshop. It would have been harder, but I could have done it all in Photoshop. But I couldn't have done it in Word or Keynote or whatever, right? Photoshop is the number one tool. But you also have Illustrator, InDesign, After Effects, Premiere, all of which were used at different portions of what you've seen tonight. Videos, right? Manipulating those press items or doing animation, stuff like that. You have to be able to disseminate your information through some sort of email blast system. I use Constant Contact. I'm a Constant Contact power user. Some people like MailChimp. Some people like Patron Mail. Some people just crazily use their own personal email thing and they just paste in 500 names and hit send and hope for the best. I mean, for years I've used this. It's fantastic and it's super easy. I recommend this because you're going to commit to once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, but you have to have a long form narrative in which people expect to hear from you on a regular basis. That's the only way to build up brand identity. And to build your brand, you have to communicate. And this is an excellent way how to. I'm waiting for my check from them for this promo. Also, you're gonna hate this. You have to network. What's the one thing I said all night long? The number one thing, all night. What did I say? This is all about relationships. It's all about relationships, right? You have to network. Networking is just relationship building. Shaking hands, taking people to lunch, talking, but also doing business. Made tens of thousands of dollars from the opportunities I got from BNI. The doors that were opened. And I would walk into BNI and I would give them my little 30-second commercial. Hey, my name is Ed King. You know, this is what I do. This is what I'm looking for. I would always say that. Everybody wants to hear what you're looking for. And they go, oh, I know the marketing manager for the Marlins, right? Somebody always knows, right? Hey, I need to meet the guy who runs the collection in Coral Gables. Somebody in the room knows. Or they know the person who knows. And the doors that opened for me through this group was fantastic. Rotary's good. You want to go to be an elk? Great. You got to do something though. You have to connect with real human beings. Lock yourself in your art studio. Call it quits. It's over. Forget it. Don't even try. But if you make it about other people, you'll have fantastic results. Oh, I love this. So, because most of my presentation is me, this, like, right, it's all here, but this is why. Falling in love with yourself first doesn't make you vain or selfish, it makes you indestructible. Is there any doubt in your mind that I fully believe everything that I've said tonight?
I think so.
I fully believe it. I am my biggest fan. And I know this because I've tried it. Nobody can sell my art better than I can. Nobody. I make more sales when I'm involved. I try to pass it off to a curator or a gallery owner or a third party, and they stink at it. They cannot sell my work. If I want a show, I'll give it to a curator. If I want money, I have to be involved. I'm the best person to represent my brand. Now, that's me. You might not be. It's okay if you're not. But I think being your biggest fan and knowing your facts, knowing your demographics, knowing your numbers, all of that, that's you falling in love with what you do because you've got your information in control. I'm not going to do the addendum because we don't have time. So, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
I did it!
If anyone has any questions for Ed, I'm sure he would love to answer them.
Yes, sir.
Hey, do you do any target advertising? As in the beginning, you were saying how there are certain people that are not going to look at your stuff, and you're trying to reach them.
Right.
So, but is there any like? Do you deal like with other websites, let's say, that have like that show your stuff maybe, or have an
You
advertisement?
mean like Cafe Press, Society 6, like that?
Not sort of like an affiliate advertising.
Okay,
Kind
I
of.
get it. So the quick answer is no.
Okay.
For the 15 years, for the 13 years that I ran at King Pop Art, there was no advertising. I did not spend a dime on advertising. Now I spent money on tools, constant contact,
Right.
things that I needed like a utility, but actually paying for marketing or like paying the Sun Sentinel or paying New Times or an affiliate ad program or anything like that, never.
Okay.
So I'm not saying it's ineffective, but what I am saying is, as the protector of my own budget, and that's my job, is to make sure I spend as little as possible or I spend as effective as possible. I made the determination that I would not affiliate with any of that stuff and that I would do this work. So I was more focused on narrative rather than trying to glean something off of an affiliate program. I feel we'll never know the results, right? Because I never went that way. So we'll never really know, but I feel like I made the right decision to focus on messaging rather than paid advertising in any form. Now, that said, if I quit my job tomorrow and I started this business and I feel strong that I could flip a switch and I could be back in business tomorrow, right? I would do some paid advertising. I would, but it would be minimal, but I would do it.
Okay.
But it wouldn't be affiliate programs. It would be rock solid direct actions. Email blast through Miami New Times, let's say, which very strong results. I would do social media campaigns through third parties like Sun Sentinel, New Times, Miami Art Guide, Art Circuit, stuff like that. I would spend money there, but I would guard my budget like a bulldog. and I would make sure that it was for something specific. There would have to be a reason for that spend. I wouldn't do it just willy-nilly, right?
Why did you leave doing it full-time?
Okay, so various reasons. I'm very intense, and I love doing what I do, and I would travel a lot for my work, especially the art show circuit, stuff like that. And I felt like I needed to take a sabbatical from the work to decide what avenue I wanted to focus on. And because I'm a marketing expert, it was really easy for me to dive into a marketing job, take a break from the work, obviously do some public speaking, right? And I've given the speech over the last 3 years that I've been employed somewhere. I've given the speech probably easily 7 to 10 times, and to various groups. But what I want, or I guess what I wanted, right? All of the work that I put into this, right? There was another side. There is a cost to knowing every aspect of your business and analyzing the market and putting all of your time, not just into the development of amazing work, and like those concepts and that stuff takes time to produce, and the thesis that I come up with take time to write and come up with, but then also marketing all that stuff, plus doing art shows in Madison, Wisconsin, and Atlanta, and whatever, never mind the gallery work, right? I watched for those 13 years my friends get married and have kids and have lives, right? And so I said, let me take a pause, stop, and assess not just where I want to be, and I'm leaning more towards the last couple slides, corporate work, stuff like that, where it's easy to turn a profit. I'd rather do that over making like a bunch of original work. I'd rather just use the stock of high-res images I have, and I've got a ton, to turn on the corporate division and work easier and smarter rather than making it a hard engagement. But I needed that depth separation, that divorce for a little bit to really see it from 10,000 feet. And I'm there, you know what I mean? I'm taking a look at it now, and this most latest job is, you know, showing you that that's possible.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Art Basel, how did that affect you? You're a longtime resident here. Have you been able to plug into Art Basel? What's your opinion of it? How has it affected your life as an
You're not going to
artist?
like my answer. I stay
No.
away from Art Basel. I go dark. I do nothing.
Why?
Nothing. Everybody has that look.
Yeah.
How can you not? I do nothing because it sucks up the bandwidth and it doesn't do what I need it to do for me, right? That said, again, if I fired up this business tomorrow, I would be working to get into Irreversible or Spectrum or something under one of my thesis shows, but not under the general stuff. I just want to say one more thing. I know it's time to go, right? But I just want to say this. Shows Coconut Grove or Carnival of the Mile or like outdoor art festivals, stuff like that stuff. And I used to travel around the country and do shows like that. It's a legit revenue stream, right? And there's been times when I've gone into those shows. I'll do a series of them, maybe 3 or 4, and I'll bunch them up in a row, and I will knock out $20,000 in just a couple weekends, right? I can make half somebody's salary in just a couple weekends, and then do whatever I want, right? Do whatever I want. That's now just manufactured this wealth, just with my imagination. So the intensity of being prepared to sell is one of the reasons, to go back to her question, is one of the reasons why I divorced myself from it, because it is so intense. Now, I like to perform at a high level. I like to say, I did these 3 shows, I earned $20,000, done, right? I just had this experience. April, you know, we couldn't even hang out because I'm too busy, right? Too busy. And most people get to go home at the end of the day, right? But I live this, I live it. And so, yes, I perform at a high level, I consider myself an expert, but there's a cost to always revving the engine at 100 miles per hour. And so what I'm trying to do is pick my moments so that I don't burn myself out, because I want to live long. You had a question?
Yeah, I just wondered if you could elaborate on what exactly you do with ArtServe.
Well-
And also if you have a private marketing,
Consulting,
exactly.
anytime, anywhere. I love talking about this stuff, obviously. For ArtServe, my primary goal when I come to work every day is to execute the co-op marketing program in which qualified fine artists or nonprofit organizations, it's mostly nonprofits versus fine artists, receive a county subsidy for their marketing and advertising. For example, if you as a fine artist or if you had a nonprofit organization that was cultural in nature, wanted to spend $1,500 on the Sun Sentinel, through my office you would actually spend $1,000 and the county would fill in the other $500, right? Every organization gets $17,000 to spend, so they end up spending $11,300 out of pocket to achieve their marketing goals. So with 70 vendors, 90 clients, I act as air traffic control for all those media needs. It's crazy. It's crazy, but it's really, it's engaging work. I'm good at it sometimes. I'm good at it most of the time. I do try this, some balls get dropped, but you know, I just got an email 2 days ago. I taped it to my boss's door so she couldn't ignore it, and it was, thank you for all the work you did. We increased our attendance 50% after working. It was the first year they ever worked with me. I sat them down, I did their media plan, I strategized, figured out, squeezed every nickel out of the media for their dollar to get them the maximum exposure for as minimum as possible. That's before I apply the subsidy, right? So they're getting savings on top of savings, and then for the result, for them to say, it worked, that's a home run for me. And I try to do that as much as possible for my clients, and I represent their best interest. I try to tell people to think of me as a sports agent. You can talk as much as you want, but when it comes to doing the deal, let me represent you. I'll get you the best possible deal for the dollar that you've identified. You can see my posture. You can see the way I'm talking about this. I live for it. I love it. I love going into those meetings. I love negotiation. I love to fight, right? But I also, because I know my numbers, I know my facts, so it puts me in a position of great, I can negotiate from a position of strength. That's why I'm so into know your narrative, know your numbers, because you want to negotiate from a position of strength. You want to be able to make sure that whoever's dealing with you, you've trained them. They don't need to think. They're just regurgitating your message because you've hit them over the head 5,000 times. So now, my branding in my office is if a media rep comes in and they sit down with me, they already know. They're not dealing with Joe on the street. We're going to talk, we're going to negotiate, and I'm going to get, let me put it this way. I hear yes more than any other word in my office every day. I hear no, I just hear yes more, way more. And that's what I try to achieve for my clients. If there's a no, we move on, we do something else, right? You always have to be willing to walk away. And that's also the fun part. Telling somebody, well, I'll just take my business across the street, because there's literally 10 other guys who are willing to take that money, you know? So that's what I do. But I'm also an ambassador for ArtServe and their mission, and I believe in the organization. I believe in what they do in arts and advocacy program, our organization for artists of all kinds. And how, like Art Fest in the Pines this weekend, you know, not just working with the city, but negotiating the contracts for all of the musicians, helping them find new artists, working on the schedule, working with Holly to make sure that all the messaging and all of the different aspects of the engagement with the public are fantastic. I mean, I live for that stuff. I love it. I'm good at it. It's just, I have to pick, right? What do? Do I do art? Do I do marketing? You know? Yes, ma'am.
So you have a clear narrative in your talk, but a lot of artists don't. So how would you recommend other artists who haven't really quite found their narrative in advertising in their work? How would you do? What would your advice?
The first thing would be this. Do you want to do what I did? This is not for everybody, right? Some people just want to say, this is my art, I'm going to go into a gallery and let the gallery do it. I don't want to do this, right? But then you're putting your ability to earn. I'm not gonna make it about you. That would mean I would be putting my ability to buy tickets to Milan in the hands of some guy who says, trust me, I'm gonna sell your stuff. Right? And you know I bought those tickets because I earned that money.
My question is more like if you don't have a defined narrative, and let's say you don't, and you're not going to anytime soon, but you still want to market your work. How would you approach that?
Your name and your images.
Hire somebody.
Your name and your images. I mean, let's assume she doesn't have a budget for that, right? So the thing that you could do right now, you could go home right now, and you could say, April the artist, whatever. April the artist, use your full name, come up with a stage name like Ray, like something that's catchy. Your name and your images, and train people to start seeing your name and your images every day, every week, every month. And what's your narrative of the day? Today I'm sketching da 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 da. There's a little sketch. Now what's your message of the week? I created this one painting and I have an interested buyer. What's your message of the month? Every single day that you're not messaging, somebody else is. There's a limited amount of bandwidth out there. And NBC has a portion of it, and their mom complaining that you don't visit enough has a portion of it, and the fridge, I swear to God, the fridge has a portion of that bandwidth, right? Every part of your life has a piece of this bandwidth. So what's left over for April, the artist, in my mind, or in his mind, or her mind, right? It's a tiny little thing. So if it's once every 2 months, you're never going to get there in that little tiny space that's left over for ephemera. You're ephemera to somebody. You're just a thing. But if you hit them every day, every week, every month, and it's consistent, but you don't have to be an expert. You're just consistent. You can sell anything to anybody, right? It doesn't even need to be your artwork. You can start selling ice cubes, right? But you'll be known a year from today. If you did it every day, people would know you as April the Ice Cube Lady. You just have to do it. It's just branding, right? And when I went to Atlanta to see Tori Amos back in October, half the trip, I talked in an Australian accent. And the people at the hotel thought I was Australian. The lady, the restaurant, you don't have any marsupial on the menu, mate. It's ridiculous, right? And I just did it the whole time. But I branded myself as the weird Australian guy,
You
right?
created the narrative through you, and not through necessarily writing or work or visual media or the internet or anything like that.
But I could have. I could have made a video of myself and posted on Vine and Instagram and all that stuff. I just did it in person. The thing is, it's a choice you make to decide. You have to decide that this is going to be part of your life, and then determine the instruments in which you will disseminate that information, right? So it can be social media, email, it could be in person. There's a million different ways to get your message out. It's all about, once you have a message, is training what I call your sales force. The press are my sales force. I've trained them, then they take my narrative and they put it into print, right? I train my people at BNI, the people I network with. I say a thing over and over again, and then when they're talking about me, maybe creating an opportunity, they also regurgitate whatever it is that I say. You know what I mean? You don't have to be good at it. You don't have to be a good writer, but you do have to have repetition. Repetition is everything. Any more questions? Then thank you very much. I appreciate it.